Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Boss Economics World, the only show that takes the dismal science of economics and turns it into a full-blown circus of financial folly. I'm your host, the one, the only, Professor Profit, here to break down the chaos, the cash, and the central bankers sipping overpriced Wyoming lattes while deciding your financial fate. Today, we're diving headfirst into the economic Hunger Games, also known as the Federal Reserve's annual Jackson Hole Symposium, where the world's most powerful money magicians gather to whisper sweet nothings about interest rates, inflation, and oh yeah, your crumbling dreams of affording a house. Buckle up, folks, because this is gonna be a wild ride. Alright, let's set the scene. It's August 22, 2025, and the Kansas City Fed has rolled out the red carpet in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, for a three-day extravaganza of central bankers, economists, and journalists who've flown in from every corner of the globe. Picture this: fancy dinners, PowerPoint slides, and enough jargon to make your grandma's bingo night sound like a TED Talk. But the real star of the show? None other than Fed Chair Jerome "the Rate Whisperer" Powell, who's set to take the stage Friday at 10 a.m. New York time to deliver what Wall Street is calling the marquee event of the conference. Translation? Everyone's waiting to see if Powell's gonna drop the mic or the interest rates. Now, here's the deal, folks. The Fed's been playing a high-stakes game of economic whack-a-mole for years, and 2025 is shaping up to be the grand finale. Inflation's been running hotter than a jalapeno in a microwave, still above the Fed's sacred 2% target, while hiring's cooling faster than a popsicle in a blizzard. And guess what? The Fed's policymakers are split down the middle like a bad rom-com. Half of them are screaming, "Cut rates now," while the other half are clutching their pearls, muttering, "But what about the tariffs?" Oh, and let's not forget the elephant in the room, or should I say, the former president in the room, Donald Trump, who's been yelling from the sidelines, demanding a half percentage point rate cut like he's ordering extra ketchup at Mar-a-Lago. Drama, drama, drama. But wait, there's more. Investors are already pricing in a rate cut for September, followed by at least one more before the year's out. And why not? The Fed's been holding rates steady all year, trying to figure out how Trump's tariff tantrums are gonna mess with the economy. Spoiler alert, it's not pretty. Just look at the data, folks. According to the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, U.S. GDP growth slowed to a measly 1.8% in Q2 2025, down from 2.5% the previous quarter, thanks in part to a 15% drop in exports to China. Gee, I wonder why. Meanwhile, the Consumer Price Index, CPI, is clocking in at 3.4% year-over-year, with core inflation, that's the stuff minus food and energy, still stubbornly high at 3.1%. Translation? Your grocery bill's up, your gas tank's up, and your dreams of retiring before 90? Yeah, those are up in smoke too. But hold on, folks, because it gets even juicier. Powell's speech isn't just about rates, it's also about the Fed's so-called framework review. Ooh, sounds fancy, right? Basically, this is the Fed's rulebook for how they try to hit their inflation and employment goals. And guess what? They're planning to tweak it. Rumor has it, they're gonna undo some of the changes they made back in 2020, when they decided to let inflation run a little hot to juice up the job market. Well, newsflash, Fed folks, inflation's not just running hot, it's sprinting like Usain Bolt at the Olympics. Just look at the numbers. According to the International Monetary Fund's latest World Economic Outlook, global inflation is projected to hit 4.2% in 2025, with advanced economies like the US bearing the brunt of supply chain disruptions, labor shortages, and yep, you guessed it, those pesky tariffs. Now, let's talk about the real economic issues hiding behind this Jackson Hole circus, shall we? Because this isn't just about Powell's speech or Trump's tweets, it's about the deeper, darker problems plaguing the global economy. First up, labor markets in transition. That's the official theme of this year's conference, and boy, is it a doozy. On Saturday, we've got a star-studded panel featuring Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey, ECB President Christine Lagarde, and Bank of Japan Governor Kazuo Ueda, all trying to figure out what the heck is going on with workers. And let me tell you, folks, the data is grim. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, labor force participation in the U.S. has dropped to 61.8% in 2025, the lowest since the 1970s, thanks to a toxic cocktail of early retirements, childcare shortages, and workers saying, "Nah, I'm not flipping burgers for $7.25 an hour." Meanwhile, the OECD reports that global labor mobility has plummeted by 22% since 2019, as workers are stuck in dead-end jobs or too scared to move thanks to economic uncertainty. And don't even get me started on the gig economy. Uber drivers and DoorDash deliverers are unionizing faster than you can say algorithmic exploitation. But wait, there's more. On Friday, we've got Nobel Prize winner Claudia Golden dropping some truth bombs about global fertility rates. Spoiler alert, they're tanking faster than a bad crypto scam. According to the United Nations, the global fertility rate is projected to fall to 2.1 births per woman by 2050, with countries like Japan and Italy already below 1.3. Why does this matter? Because fewer babies today means fewer workers tomorrow, which means fewer taxpayers to fund your Social Security, folks. And speaking of workers, University of Michigan's Linda Tessar is going to tell us all about how labor market mobility in the US is basically dead. Thanks to sky-high housing costs, Zillow reports the median home price hit $425,000 in 2025, and stagnant wages, workers can't afford to move to where the jobs are. Result? A labor market that's stickier than a toddler's candy-coated fingers. And let's not forget the tech elephant in the room. On Friday afternoon, we've got a panel with University of Chicago's Ufuk Aksajic, Harvard's Lawrence Katz, and Columbia's Laura Veldkamp talking about how technology is screwing over the labor market. Automation, blockchain, you name it, it's killing jobs faster than you can say, ChatGPT, write my resume. According to McKinsey's latest report, up to 30% of U.S. jobs could be automated by 2030, with low-wage workers bearing the brunt. Meanwhile, the World Economic Forum predicts that 85 million jobs will be displaced globally by 2025, while only 97 million new ones will be created, most of them requiring skills your average worker doesn't have. So, good luck retraining that 50-year-old truck driver to be a data scientist, folks. Oh, and just when you thought it couldn't get worse, on Saturday, we've got UC Berkeley's Emi Nakamura talking about how central banks can deal with inflation spikes. Spoiler alert, they can't. Just look at the European Central Bank, which is still stuck in negative interest rate territory, or the Bank of Japan, which has been fighting deflation for 3 decades and counting. And then there's Harvard's Ludwig Straub, who's gonna scare the pants off everyone with a paper on U.S. debt sustainability. According to the Congressional Budget Office, U.S. public debt is projected to hit 120% of GDP by 2030, thanks to ballooning deficits and an aging population. Translation? Your grandkids are gonna be paying off this party for decades, folks. So, what's the takeaway from all this Jackson Hole hoopla? Simple, folks, the global economy is a hot mess, and the central bankers are just throwing darts at a board blindfolded. Whether it's inflation, labor shortages, tech disruption, or debt, the problems are piling up faster than dirty laundry in a college dorm. And the worst part? The solutions: rate cuts, framework tweaks, fancy panels, feel like putting a band-aid on a broken leg. So, to all you ordinary folks out there worried about your financial future, and to all you finance pros watching from your corner offices, here's my advice: buckle up, because this economic roller coaster is just getting started. That's all for today, folks. Tune in next time when we'll be breaking down why your avocado toast now costs $50 and why it's probably the Fed's fault. Until then, keep your wallets tight and your skepticism high. This is Professor Prophet, signing off.